I am Gordon Ramsay, AMA. Hello Reddit. Gordon Ramsay here. This is my first time doing a Reddit AMA, and I'm looking forward to answering as many of your questions as time permits this morning, with assistance from Victoria from Reddit. This week we are celebrating a milestone. I'm taping my 500th episode for Fox Primetime. About me. I'm an award-winning chef and restaurateur with 25 restaurants worldwide. Also known for presenting television programs, including Hell's Kitchen, MasterChef, MasterChef Junior, Hotel Hell and Kitchen Nightmares. AMA.
Gordon, how do you like your eggs?
Very good question. I have to say, scrambled. Over a slice of sourdough bread that has been grilled, and then sort of doused with Worcestershire sauce. Now scrambled eggs. I did a video a few years back with my youngest, Tilly, showing how to make scrambled eggs, and I think it has 10 to 11 million hits. And the nice thing about scrambled eggs is that they don't have to just be breakfast. You can have them in the evening, with some nice mushrooms, some tomatoes. You can have them as a snack at midnight, or at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hi chef, are there any really strange food combinations that you enjoy?
I had an amazing doubled pork chop with rhubarb. Now rhubarb is something we literally eat with desserts, but this dish was incredible. It was in Spain. It was a double pork chop that had been slow roasted over an open pit fire with rhubarb. Absolutely delicious. This was one of my mates that was trying to show off cooking in his back garden in Spain when we were out filming for Kitchen Nightmares. I didn't think it was going to work, to be honest. And then when I started tasting, I thought crap. This is delicious.
Hello Gordon, I've wanted to know what is your opinion on Michelin rating system A?
That's a very good question. One thing we need to really understand about Michelin is the stars are awarded to the restaurant. So, if there's one thing I've come to admire with the Michelin is that it's consistent. It's a guy who is judging you incognito. We have a lot of guys in this country, and Europe, who are a bit too familiar, too chummy with chefs, and they overindulge, food editors, they'll know, and tip off the chef. With a Michelin guide, you have no idea when they'll be in, or when they'll review you. And that's why they're the most feared and respected by chefs. Now I'm always asked, you're a hands-on chef, you're on TV, how come you're still with these stars? Who does the cooking when you're not there? When I'm not there, I have trusted proper chefs, like Claire Smith, the chef de cuisine in Chelsea. Even when I'm there, she's still running the ship. She's been running it there for 10 years. So the stars are awarded to the restaurant. And sometimes the chefs think the stars belong to the chefs, but they belong to the restaurant. The service is just as important. Michelin's had a hard time in America, because it was late coming to the table. But if there's one thing I respect, it's consistency. They manage to identify consistently, and it's all there for the customer. So when people ask me, what do you think of Michelin? I don't cook for the guide, I cook for customers.
Have you ever literally gotten sick from a horrible hotel in Hotel Hell?
Sometimes it doesn't happen until 2 to 3 days later. No, I've never really got sick, but I was in a hotel last year in Vermont, and I didn't realize until I got home that I caught nits in the hotel. Yeah, and I did something really bad because I thought it was my daughter. I thought it was my youngest daughter, Matilda, and then it turns out it was me with the nits. So I had my hair checked by my wife Tara, and I traced it back to the pillowcase in Vermont. So I apologized to Matilda. Because, she's young and quite often kids get nits, and then my wife said, listen, you're wrong. Tilly didn't give you nits. Ridiculous.
Do all the kids on MasterChef Junior really know the techniques off the top of their head for every challenge, or do you give them a quick overview, rundown before the challenge starts? For instance, the Crème Bouche challenge.
That's a really good question. So across the filming procedure, we get the chance to spend time with them, with basic culinary lessons. So they won't know exactly what they're doing, but we'll show them basic techniques a few weeks prior. And also, things like the Crème Bouche, we'll do a class in sheet pastry, but we'll do sheet pastry buns, as opposed to actually doing a Crème Bouche. When it comes to the more serious elimination challenges, they'll have insight 3 to 4 weeks out. We are halfway through shooting season 5 of MasterChef Junior, and I am staggered by the level of competition. We start taping tomorrow morning, but based on the standards of the first few seasons, the level is just amazing. They are coming in better, stronger. And for kids to have ballet lessons, soccer lessons, that's something we've grown up with. And I've never known kids like we're having now, who are having cooking lessons outside of school hours.
Is there any food that you won't even try?
Any food I won't even try? That's a good question. I think, being a chef, the first thing that I set out to do was to make sure that I almost got to taste every ingredient anywhere in the world. I wanted to learn so much about ingredients that I'd never know what not to do with an ingredient. So I'm an open book. Whether it's a beating cobra heart from a snake in Cambodia, or a deep-fried tarantula, or a beef Wellington, I'll eat absolutely anything. The only thing I draw the line at, Victoria, is eating overcooked food. There is nothing worse than an overcooked Brussels sprout. The smell is disgusting.
What do you normally eat as an everyday meal?
Chef's pick. So I don't really sit down and do lunch. I certainly don't sit down and eat dinner. I have a breakfast with oatmeal. That's the first thing, and that sets me up for the rest of the day. It's very hard to sit down for a 3-course meal, and I'm very easy to please. If I go out to dinner, I'll share an appetizer, enjoy my entree, and enjoy my dessert. It's very hard for me to enjoy a full meal, because I taste every 2 minutes in the kitchen. I'm not very good at sitting down for 3 hours to enjoy a meal. I'd be lying if I told you I sit down 4 nights a week and have a 3-course dinner. I do nothing of the sort. And also, there's nothing worse than eating dinner at 5:30 and then having to get up and cook for 3 hours. So I like to keep on my toes, and eat small bits. Almost like in Hong Kong 4 or 5 times a day, small bowls of food.
Earlier in your career, did anyone handling the media aspect ever try to convince you to change your persona? Do you swear just as much in everyday life? Please say yes.
I've never really worried about the sort of media profile. Early on in my career, I'm a chef, so we don't get taught how to handle the media properly. And as you can probably understand, chefs when they start out make some pretty big mistakes in terms of saying things in the heat of the moment that get taken out of context, but I've always said that's passion. Do I swear? 2 weeks ago, I was at a parents' meeting for my school. And my daughter said, "Daddy, please don't embarrass me." So I get to the school and the first thing that happens, there's all these mums and dads there, and all the teachers are there, with the names on the table, and I see the head mistress, and my daughter Holly was there, and it's incredible. I went straight up to the head mistress and asked for a selfie. Which I thought was freaking brilliant. My daughter dived under the table in embarrassment. But it just broke the ice. These things are just so formal. And the head mistress said, "Oh my lord, I've never had a selfie before. What do we do?" So I said, "Put your head up and fricking smile." I tweeted it out. God bless,
Hello Gordon, I'm a big fan. 2 questions. You obviously have a talent for witty insults. Do they come naturally or do you think about them and then say to yourself, "I'm gonna use this one next time I get angry"? Also, after watching your show I want to try jellied eel. I'm going to London in a few days. Any recommendation about where to have it? Thanks.
Hey, witty insults? It just happens sort of spur of the moment. I see red. I get frustrated. I let it go. I'm not very good at editing myself. I have to get things off my chest. If there's one thing my mum taught me, it's speak your mind, be firm, get things off your chest. I think it's a good way to work, and quite healthy to have that attitude. Do I think about it previously? No, they just come to me in a flashpoint. And sometimes even I sit back and think, did I just say that? And then jellied eels. You've got to go to the East End of London, and get the most amazing malt vinegar. They're very healthy, packed with protein, and bloody delicious. And the River Thames now, in London, is teeming with eels. So some of the best eels in the world now are from London. They're delicious.
Hey Gordon, what did you have for breakfast, mate?
Haha, everyone thinks I have a glamorous breakfast, like a full English or eggs Benedict. I keep it simple, because it reminds me of my mum. So I keep it simple, porridge, which is oatmeal. But growing up in Stratford-upon-Avon, we kept it very simple, just oatmeal with water, salt, and oatmeal, because my dad said it would put hair on your bollocks. It's really weird hearing you say the word bollocks, Victoria. The night before, put 3 to 4 bananas in the oven on a pilot light. And the next day, squeeze the bananas into almond milk, bring it to a boil, then add the oatmeal and dried cranberries, and you'll have the most amazing oatmeal for breakfast.
Do you have any food recommendations for a college student on a budget?
That's a really good question. I would recommend that you get adventurous with pulses, chickpeas, beans, lentils. And you know, cooking these is incredible. Brown rice? Phenomenal. You don't need expensive proteins. Just make them incredible with how you cook them, or prepare them. A pressure cooker is a great way of making these foods go a long way, is to cook them deliciously. Chilies, garlic, definitely.
What's your favorite Disney movie?
My favorite Disney movie. Come on? Seriously? It has to be Ratatouille. I was very close, last year, when we had Bradley Cooper in the kitchen cooking up a storm for his new Adam Jones movie coming up the end of this year, and understand his level of excitement about service. Being on the line, he didn't want to tiptoe. He wanted to be in there, from first light to the last plate leaving the kitchen, and it was so nice to see how he respected the team. He didn't want pampering. He wanted to roll his sleeves up and dive in there. He said, "Gordon, I just want you to teach me to put food on a plate, because it's really magical how you put food on the plate the way you do." So I'm very excited for this movie, coming out, called Adam Jones. It's very exciting to see an actor understand what you do, and knowing that he can't learn how to cook in a few months, but absolutely nailing it when it came to the level of presentation.
Hi Gordon. The F Word is one of my favorite shows of all time. It taught my wife and I how to cook great food and be smart about it. We also loved all of the adventures and animal raising that happened throughout the series. Thank you for that. My question: outside of your own restaurants, where are some of your favorite places to eat? What dishes do you order?
First of all, the F Word for me was a program that taught me the importance of sources of food. The F Word tried to highlight the place of origin. How often do you go out for lunch or dinner, and you don't know where the food comes from? So the F Word tried to show the importance of that journey. I've become a big fan of Vietnamese and Cambodian food, because they cook with very little dairy. So everything was tasty, but incredibly healthy at the same time. Great use of spice, broth, pork. A way of eating well but also just on the cusp of trying to stay healthy at the same time. So, you know, when I travel across the US, I always try to get off the sort of main, foodie, the main, sort of high streets, and get into little foodie quarters. If it's South New Orleans, or Austin, Texas, I'm going for the latest little thing that's just opened. So I'm pretty low-key like that. I like going into some sort of off-the-beaten-track areas.
Hi chef, I'd like you know how you got into running and triathlons?
Good question. I got into running and doing triathlons. First of all, I've run over 15 marathons and doubles, ultra marathons, in South Africa. So I needed a bigger sort of commitment, to spend a little bit more time to myself. So, listen, I love running, but it's given me quality time to spend on my own. So I got into triathlons about 3 years ago, and it's helped me to stay even more focused in my day-to-day job.
Hello, Gordon. I'm very excited you're doing an AMA. Regarding food, what guilty pleasure do you have that most people would be shocked at? Fast food fries, frozen fish sticks, etc. Mine is spaghetti in a can. It's repulsive and I know I shouldn't eat it, but I can't help it.
Well, first of all, you need help. Spaghetti in a can. That kind of crap we grew out of on our 8th birthday. I still remind my mum that she taught me how to spell with alphabetical spaghetti in a can. You need help, big time. My go-to sort of fast food snack. It would have to be In-N-Out burger. Oh my god, honestly, it is, when I eat double-doubles. I am terrible, and I always bring it back on the airport when I'm flying from LA to London. I'll sneak it into the first-class lounge at BA.
Good afternoon, chef. Do you have a favorite cocktail?
I have an amazing cocktail, which, you know, we're in Atlantic City currently, because we just launched the Gordon Ramsay Pub and Grill here, which is where we're calling from now. It's with Tanqueray Gin, and it's called, Wake Up You Donkey. I mean, ha 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 ha, it is incredible. And also, it's quite sort of spicy and fragrant, and it's absolutely delicious.
Hi Gordon, I'm a huge fan of yours, and enjoy watching all of your shows. I especially enjoyed your home cooking series, and I want you to know that they sparked an interest in cooking for me that I'll never forget. Anyway, on to my question. What is the best meal you have ever had? And what about the worst? Thanks.
Wow, that's a great question. Well, negative, the worst meal? There's been too many of them to tell you about, because the last 10 years, working on Kitchen Nightmares, I've eaten a lot of crap. I think I've drank about 3.5 liters of Pepto-Bismol. And in terms of, you know, good meals, I had an incredible meal at the Black Liquor Market in Studio City. The most amazing Scotch eggs, deviled eggs, and then these short ribs that were braised in beer. Incredible. Just incredible.
Have you had any contact with Amy's Baking Company since their Kitchen Nightmares episode? How do you feel about the fact that they basically became a meme?
Hee hee ha. Are you mad? No. I haven't. I dunno. I get inquiries on the daily basis, in order to pick up on some of the press, and some of the stuff they continue to do. I think it's absurd, and I'm now on the verge of actually feeling sorry for them, because it's not correct. They're one of a kind. I have no desire to come back. It was the only time I ever threw the towel in, where I physically can't do any more. We tried so hard for that program, you know. We left them with descriptions to get the business back successfully, and even if restaurants don't follow your recommendations, you still get blamed for it. I'm frustrated with them, and I just wish they'd listen. You know, them becoming sort of big online. I've seen some of the stuff they've been doing and saying, and it's quite embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing, in terms of what they're doing. I just wish they'd put their heads down, and let their business, you know, think for itself, rather than trying to react to every little sort of negativity. So, yeah. They seem to go out on a limb to attack people, and take great pleasure in attacking people. It's a bit weird. They've become so successful, for being so bad.
Hello, Mr. Ramsay. My question is this. How do you feel about being a meme on the internet?
Oh, gosh. I don't really get a chance to sort of look at the internet. Do you know what? I love that level of connection, and I try to show as much as I can, who I'm with, where I am, and giving people inspiration, so I don't really think of myself as a phenomenon on the internet. I'm a cook, who happens to be the luckiest cook in the world.
Greetings, Chef Ramsay, and welcome to Reddit. I'm absolutely honored to have an opportunity to ask you a question or two. My dream is to have my own kitchen one day, and I'm trying my hardest and working my ass off as a prep cook right now. Anyways, I'm a huge fan of your cooking, and have been watching you on television since I was a child, so I'd love your input on a couple things. What's the biggest piece of advice you can give a young, aspiring chef? This is a harder question to ask, but I would really love your input on it if you can spare it. I've been pretty severely allergic to dairy and eggs my whole life. I've learned to cook with them at work, but obviously I don't use them at home because they would kill me. Do you feel that it's worth trying to find and fabricate milk, cream, egg, and cheese substitutes? Or do you think that those things would be impossible to truly replicate, and that I should focus on developing recipes that are delicious without needing those elements? Thank you, Chef.
1. Good question. The biggest piece of advice, you know, cooking is about character. It's about different cuisines, and I think sometimes we go into it a little bit blinkered vision. Learn a second vision. I thought I really knew how to cook when I worked for Marco, and then when I went to France, it really opened my eyes. So learn a second language, and travel. It's really important to travel. That is fundamental, because you pick up so many different techniques, and learning a second language gives you so much more confidence in the kitchen. 2. Very good question. First of all, you know, you can't find a substitute for such incredible ingredients. It's very, very difficult. So, you know, a lot of difficulties in terms of trying to find substitutes, so you have to develop recipes with great alternates. I was recently sent an amazing array of sauces and dishes by a company that didn't use eggs. The company was called Just Mayo, but it was done without eggs, yet it tasted absolutely incredible. So try to figure out a recipe without eggs, because when it's that dangerous, the backlash could be incredible.